It just happened as we're speaking at this moment. Stock market a little bit mixed today. Dow was up a touch, 30 or so. NASDAQ, S&P down. Again, we have been making record highs every single day in the S&P, down a very, very little, less than 0.5%. That's nothing. NASDAQ down about the same amount, 0.5%. Gold up, off a little bit. Not a big deal, not a huge move in gold. Oil down, that's a great sign. Oil is down nearly $1 at one point today. Crypto having a bit of a tough day. Crypto, for some reason, crypto has been, a lot of people are pulling money out of the crypto market. Maybe we tend to see these big moves over the weekends. For whatever reason, we get these big swings. So I don't know if we're going to see 3,000-4,000 lower in Bitcoin, 3,000-4,000 higher. Anyway, Bitcoin, 117,000 on the dot as we speak right now. Solana, Ethereum down a little bit. Ethereum's got hit pretty good, a couple $100. And XRP having a tough day. But again, gold hanging in there. Not a big day on a day that a lot of things weren't doing very well. So if you're stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed the April 15th deadline or your books are cooked, a mess. Don't wait. The IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast, 5% per month, up to 25% just for not filing. But here's the help that you need. Tax Network USA can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They've helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee, a small business owner, or you haven't filed in years. You got messy books, don't worry. They've seen it all, and they know exactly how to clean it up with direct access to powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators on your side. Tax Network USA knows how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they may even be able to get you to reduce or eliminate what you owe completely. More importantly, they'll help protect you from wage garnishments or bank levies, so don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call 800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV to talk to a real expert at Tax Network USA. Take the pressure off. Let Tax Network USA handle your issues. Okay, guys, this is a huge event. I don't know what that intimation was, but this is a huge event. Put up a little shot of something in Alaska while we're talking about this, because I want to bring in. Let's see, we have Brian Glenn available. Yes, do we, Mad Dog?
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's go right to Brian. Brian, let's have a chat with you for a little bit, my friend. We were watching in awe. I was watching in awe as the two world leaders, the two I would say the two most powerful men on the planet, landed. They waited for each other. When Trump was ready. Putin paid deference, waited for Trump. Trump leaves. They both come down about the same time, Trump first. And then it was fascinating, Brian. I just talked to Gruber about this. For me, I spend a lot of time reading body language, reading what's going on. So, again, we're going to show you both of them coming down. But for me, the most important thing that I've seen so far, and this has only been going on about 30 minutes or so, right there, that shot. Trump is waiting on his red carpet, moves over there a little bit. He's waiting. And we thought, what's he doing? He's taking it all in. At one point, maybe there was music playing, but no, Brian. He was waiting for Vladimir Putin to come to him. If that's not the biggest alpha male move that I've seen in a long time, well, I think that really sets the tone on who's got the upper hand in the meetings. Yeah, what's your sense from the ground?
Yeah. Well, good afternoon, Eric. It's great to be here. I agree. Let me set the scene for you, for those that just might have joined us. Mason, let's go ahead and get up and let's pan the tent here. We are in the media tent that's just outside the room where President Trump and President Putin will have the press conference a little bit later. We'll show you that here in a second. But let me step aside. This is the U.S. side. These are U.S.-based journalists. These are the ones that typically are credentialed through the White House, are the ones that I typically see on a daily basis. On the other side of the tent is the Russian media. These are the individuals that flew in on, I would presumably, a media chartered plane. They came in together as a group. You see them there doing their stand-ups. We've got them inside as well. So in the room behind me, there's also a media riser where you've got 3 tiers of media. And Eric, you've been in this business a long time. So have I. I can honestly say the amount of media that's here today would be something that you would see at a Super Bowl or something. We've got media from around the world, and you've got local affiliates, you've got national people. They're all here to cover this event. So it's absolutely packed, but I think it's pretty ironic that, and by the way, they do have a kind of a break area with food, coffee, sodas, things like that. They have a kind of a snack bar set up for the media as well. big shout out to the press Trump team, the advance team that set all this up, the men and women that serve our country in the Air Force, Marines. They're all here as well on the ground to make sure everything's safe and secure. But I like the flyovers that we saw too. Just shortly after President Trump landed, there was a couple flyovers that we heard, and then of course when Putin landed and when he was on the ground, we heard several planes. That was hard for us to see them because of the tent, because we just from the visuals, but we heard them, and they flew over. And I can only imagine, Eric, the message that's sending not only to President Putin but to the world, that the strength of our military, of men and women that serve this country, it's all on display today. But I just thought it was very symbolic of how that flyover. But it's very interesting to see the Russian media in
a
here,
lot of symbolism.
working and,
a lot of symbolism. I mean, I contend that we chose the location because of what we were talking about. There was a sale of Alaska from Russia to the United States for $7 million, and Trump loves the art of the deal. If that wasn't one of the best deals America's ever made with anyone, maybe the Louisiana Purchase and Alaska are two of the best, and maybe that is a little bit of Trump keeping the upper hand. Caroline Levitt said there was going to be somewhere between 500 and 700 members of the press from around the world. This is what a huge task to try and corral those cats, so to speak. And let me ask you this. At some point, it was going to be one-on-one, Putin-Trump, right? And then on the way there, it evolved to 3-on-3. So they added Steve Witkoff on our side. We added Steve Witkoff and Marco Rubio. Do you know why that happened? And is there any sort of background on that?
I don't know, but some of the things I've been reading earlier is, and I had put this on X, and I was just kind of trying to figure out because when I found out that the Russian President Putin had brought some Russian business leaders, so financial people in his circle here as well. Then I started thinking, well, who's coming on President Trump's side? I think we're looking at a financial deal here as well. I think we're talking about a major economic deal being developed right now that would, by a byproduct, in essence, would provide a peace deal between the two countries. I think we're looking at a major economic development here. So maybe you put the right players in place that can make that happen. And, at the end of the day, Trump is going to make a peace deal. He wants to go down as a peacemaker, but he's also a businessman. And his business is this country. And he wants to make this country stronger, make this country richer. And I think there's an opportunity to do that with Russia.
Yeah, can you stay there? I'd love to have you stay here for a minute. In the meantime, I would like to bring in Lara Logan, one of my close friends, one of the best journalists that the world has ever seen, bar none, good friend. She has her own podcast. It's called Going Rogue with Lara. And we're so happy to have you, Lara. Lara, one of the things, I don't know if you were watching it, but we were talking about this. Trump comes down. Putin waits for Trump for his airplane to open. They both come down together, Trump. And this moment, if we can roll that tape, right there, you see what he's standing there. Trump is standing on his red carpet, and he's waiting for Putin to come. But he's not just being disrespectful, but he's clapping for Vladimir Putin, which I think if you put yourself in Vladimir Putin's position, how's this meeting going to go? And you see President Trump that warm, that welcoming. What a great embrace. I am very optimistic about something good happening from here. Lara, what's your take on this?
Well, Eric, I got to say you were just talking a moment ago about symbolism. I don't think there can be a greater symbol of significance for this meeting, a backdrop for this meeting, than the fact that the entire Russia collusion narrative is collapsing. The purpose of Russia collusion was to destroy that man, Donald Trump, and they tried to use that man walking right next to him, Vladimir Putin, to do it. And there were much broader implications involved in that, right? I mean, the deep state, America's domestic enemies, those guilty of the seditious conspiracy, were prepared to do absolutely anything they could to create war between Russia and the United States. And that included expanding NATO, bringing it right to Russia's door, shoving Putin out of the arena, right? Not even being willing to talk to him about entering. I mean, remember, Putin, this is a guy who came knocking. He came to NATO. He came to the West. He came to all those institutions. And he said, look, you guys are expanding in violation of your original agreements. When you set up NATO, and we agreed to this. You promised us you wouldn't do exactly what you're doing. And so, and he said, but here I am. I'm not telling you you can't. I'm asking you, give me a seat at the table. And he was rebuffed by the West. And you just imagine the United States if Russia and Mexico were forming some kind of alliance and putting air defenses and missile batteries and things right on the border of the United States and Mexico. I mean, the U.S. would go nuts if that happened to them. And so, there's been a lot of criticism of Vladimir Putin. Some of it is valid, some of it is not valid. But underpinning all of this is the reality that the people who sought to take down Donald Trump and through him, the American people, subvert the will of the American people and destroy this country from within, what was central to their strategy surviving was to keep Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin apart. That's why they sabotaged the last time they were going to meet in the first Trump administration when they had Mueller send out those indictments against, people that didn't stand up at all. And that was meant to savage any attempt at these two leaders at bringing peace. And what was the result of that? After Trump was, forced out of office in a stolen election, you got you got Joe Biden and you got Ukraine. You got a war that has killed people, untold numbers of people, that has been brutal. In its ferocity, that has achieved absolutely nothing. But, whether we like it or not, Vladimir Putin and the people of Eastern Ukraine have an affinity that dates back throughout history. And he's not just going to step back. He said, I'm going into Ukraine to get rid of the Nazis. And that was absolutely true. It remains one of the biggest sort of stories, unanswered questions throughout the media, why we have so much anti-Nazi, reporting, but nobody minds that the United States and NATO and the West has been arming real Nazis in Ukraine. I mean, you those two things make absolutely no sense when viewed together. And so when you start to look at some of the history here and you see that, oh, wait, let's see. Yes, the Nazi SS was headquartered in Western Ukraine. Right? Yes. And that's where when 300,000 Jews were slaughtered in Ukraine, it was Ukrainian Nazis that helped and participated in those murders. And their descendants remain alive and well. The Azov battalion, which is more like a division, is full of Nazis. And the Ukrainian soldiers, there was a big embarrassment for NATO because they tried to put out a picture of a female Ukrainian soldier on International Women's Day. And they were like, oh, look at the brave women fighting in Ukraine. And they had to take the picture down because the insignia on the uniform was the black sun of the occult, which was, oh, yes, also the insignia of the SS, the Nazi SS. So you see, the media has been gun shy about being honest when it comes to the Ukraine war, right? All the sympathy is on the side of Ukraine, and nobody likes it when innocent people are killed. I mean, Ukrainian citizens were dragged by Zelensky's mobs, really, and militants, and forced to go up to the front line to die without even the most basic military protections in place, standard protections in place that anyone could expect, dragged from their families against their will. I mean, Zelensky has been not just a puppet of the CIA, not just a reprehensible figure, but he's been profoundly anti-democratic in every way possible. And yet the West says nothing. We say and we do nothing. And those two men walking together right there in that image, they have the power to end it all. Because without U.S. arms and without U.S. money, Zelensky and Ukraine collapse. That's the reality. But there are people, forces within this country and globally, who do not want this war to end. It's unbelievable. You've seen them. You've been, I'm sure covering them. There's people out there every day on American media doing everything they can.
I was going to add that, Lara. I was
men.
going to add that. I'm watching the lead up to this moment. By the way, that handshake right here, where Trump just grabs his hand and like he's such the alpha male here. It's incredible. The lead up to this, I'm watching CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, and they're rolling video of the war, almost like they wanted this thing to continue, rather than have a moment here where you might broker some peace, and they don't want it either. So you're right. There are the factions that want to, for whatever reason, to keep the war going. Maybe it's to funnel money from the United States into Ukraine back to nefarious places. We don't know that for sure, but that could be part of it. Laura, could you do me a favor? I believe we've talked to you about staying with us for the vast majority of the
Yes,
hour. If
I'm
could-
with you.
That is fantastic. We are very fortunate to have Lara Logan to stay with us. So why don't we squeeze in a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about all the really incredible things, historically incredible things that are happening in Alaska as we speak. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes.